In previous lecture we have learned about function of respiratory system, upper respiratory tract and its parts, lower respiratory tracts and its parts, nose, mouth, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi and lungs. So now what is the function of respiratory system? We will quick revise. Oxygen supplier. As a oxygen supplier, the job of the upper respiratory tract. The upper respiratory tract is made up to nose, nasal cavity, sinuses, larynx and trachea. You can see in this picture whole part of upper respiratory tract. In lower respiratory tract, lungs, bronchia and bronchioles, alveoli. The respiratory membrane. First, wall structure. The wall of alveoli are composed largely of a single thin layer of squamous epithelial cells. Second one is alveolar pores. Alveolar pores connecting neighboring air sacs and provide alternative route for air to reach alveoli whose feeder bronchioles have been clogged by mucus or otherwise blocked. Third one is respiratory membrane. Together the alveolar and capillary walls, their fused basement membrane and occasional elastic fiber construct the respiratory membrane, which has gas flowing past on one side and blood flowing past on other side. Alveolar macrophage. Remarkably efficient alveolar macrophage, sometimes called dust cell, wander in and out of the alveoli, picking up bacteria, carbon particles, and other debris. Next is cuboidal cells, also scattered amid the epithelial cells that form most of the alveolar wall are chunky cuboidal cell which produce a lipid molecule called surfactant which coat the gas exposed alveolar surface and is very important in lung function. Now physiology of respiratory system. The major function of the respiratory system is to supply the body with oxygen and to dispose of carbon dioxide. To do this, at least four distinct events, collectively called respiration, must occur. First in respiration is pulmonary ventilation. Air must move into and out of the lungs so that gases in the air sacs are continuously refreshed, and this process is commonly called breathing. In continuation of physiology of the respiratory system, next one is external respiration. Gas exchange between the pulmonary blood and alveoli must take place. Respiratory gas transport. Oxygen and carbon dioxide must be transported to and from the lungs and tissue cells of the body via bloodstream. Next one is internal respiration. Its systemic capillaries gas exchange must be made between the blood and tissue cells. Now mechanism of breathing. Rule number 1. Volume change lead to pressure changes which lead to the flow of gases to equalize pressure. Now inspiration. Air is flowing into the lungs, chest is expanded laterally, the rib cage is elevated and the diaphragm is depressed and flattened. Lungs are stretched to the larger thoracic volume, causing the intrapulmonary pressure to fall and air to flow into the lungs. Now expiration. Air is leaving the lungs, the chest is depressed and the lateral dimension is reduced, the rib cage is descended and the diaphragm is elevated and dome shaped. Lungs recoil to a smaller volume, intrapulmonary pressure raised and air flow out of the lungs. In continuation of mechanism of breathing, Now intrapulmonary volume. What is the intrapulmonary volume? Intrapulmonary volume is the volume within the lungs. Now intrapleural pressure, the normal pressure within the pleural space. The interpleural pressure is always negative, and this is the major factor preventing the collapse of lungs. Next one is non-respiratory air movement. Non-respiratory movements are a result of reflex activity, but some may be produced voluntarily, such as a cough, sneeze, crying, laughing, hiccup, and yawn. Next one is respiratory volumes and capacity. First one is tidal volume. Tidal volume is normal quiet breathing moves approximately 500 ml of air into and out of the lungs within each breath. Second one is inspiratory reserve volume. The amount of air that can be taken in forcibly over the tidal volume is the respiratory reserve volume, which is normally between 2100 ml to 3200 ml. Third one is expiratory reserve volume. The amount of air that can be forcefully exhaled after a tidal expiration. The expiratory reserve volume is approximately 1200 ml. In continuation of respiratory volumes and capacity, next one is residual volume. Even after the most strenuous expiration after 1200 ml of air still remains in the lungs and it can be voluntarily expelled. This is called residual volume, and it is important because it allows gas exchange to go on continuously even between breath and help to keep the alveoli inflated. Next one is vital capacity. The total amount of exchange air is typically around 4800 ml in healthy young men, and this respiratory capacity is the vital capacity, which is sum of the tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, and the expiratory reserve volume. In continuation of respiratory volume and capacity, next one is dead space volume. Much of the air that enter the respiratory tract remain in the conducting zone, passageways, and never reach the alveoli. This is called the dead space volume. And during a normal tidal breath, it amount to about 150 ml. Next one is functional volume. The functional volume, which is the air that actually reach the respiratory zones and contribute to gas exchange, is about 350 ml. And next is spirometer. Respiratory capacity are measured with a spirometer wherein as a person breathes the volume of air exhaled can be read on a indicator which show the change in air volume inside the apparatus. You can see the details of respirometer and its scale in this picture. Now respiratory sounds. First respiratory sound is bronchial sound. Bronchial sound are produced by air rushing through the large respiratory passageway in trachea and bronchi. Next one is vesicular breathing sound. Vesicular breathing sound occur as air fills the alveoli and they are soft and resemble a muffled breath. Now external respiration, gas transport and internal respiration. First one is external respiration. External respiration or pulmonary gas exchange involve the oxygen being loaded and carbon dioxide being unloaded from the blood. Second one is internal respiration. In internal respiration or systemic capillary gas exchange, oxygen is unloaded and carbon dioxide is loaded into the blood. Now gas transport. Gas transport is transported in the blood in two ways. Most attached to hemoglobin molecules inside the RBCs to form oxyhemoglobin. or a very small amount of oxygen is carried dissolved in the plasma, while carbon dioxide is transported in plasma as a bicarbonate ion or a small amount 20 to 30% of the transport carbon dioxide is carried inside the RBC bound to hemoglobin. Now control of respiration. The control of respiration can be divided broadly in two parts. First one is neural regulation and second one is non-neural regulation. In neural regulation, first one is phrenic and intercostal nerves. These two nerves regulate the activity of respiratory muscles, the diaphragm and external intercostals, medulla and pons. Neural centers that control respiratory rhythm and depth are located mainly in the medulla and pons. The medulla, which sets the basic rhythm of breathing, contain a pacemaker or self-exciting inspiratory center and an expiratory center that inhibit the pacemaker in a rhythmic way. Pons centers appear to smooth out the basic rhythm of the inspiration and expiration set by the medulla. In continuation of control of respiration, now eupnea. The normal respiratory rate is referred to as a eupnea and it is maintained at the rate of 12 to 15 respiration per minute. Hyperpnea. During exercise, we breathe more vigorously and deeply because the brain center sends more impulse to the respiratory muscles and this respiratory pattern is called hyperpnea. In control of respiration, second one is non-neural factor influencing respiratory rate and depth. First one is physical factor. Although the medulla respiratory center set the basic rhythm of the breathing, there is no question that physical factors such as a talking, coughing, and exercising can be modify both the rate and depth of the breathing, as well as an increased body temperature which increase the rate of breathing. Second one is volition, conscious control. Voluntary control of breathing is limited, and the respiratory centers will simply ignore messages from the cortex when the oxygen supply in the blood is getting low or blood of pH is falling. Next one is emotional factor. Emotional factor also modify the rate and depth of the breathing through reflex initiated by emotional stimuli acting through centers in the hypothalamus. Next one is chemical factor. The most important factor that modify respiratory rate and depth are chemical. The level of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the blood, increased level of carbon dioxide and decreased blood of pH are the most important stimuli leading to an increase in the rate and depth of the breathing, while a decrease in the oxygen level become important stimuli when the level are dangerously low. In continuation of control of respiration, now hyperventilation. Hyperventilation blow off more carbon dioxide and decrease the amount of carbonic acid which returns blood pH to normal range when carbon dioxide or other source of acids begin to accumulate in the blood. Next is hypoventilation. Hypoventilation or extremely slow or shallow breathing allow carbon dioxide to accumulate in the blood and bring blood pH back into normal range when blood start to become slightly alkaline. In last conclusion, respiration is the essential for every living individual. In Ayurveda, various achar including Charak has explained very well about five types of vata, especially contrast to respiration is pranavayu. As Charak explained it, vayus yantra tantradhar pranodhan saman vyanatma. प्रवर्तक चेष्टानाम उच्चावचनम नियंता प्रणेता च मनस सर्वेन्द्रियाणाम उद्योजक सर्वेन्द्रियाणाम भाव्योड़ सर्व शरीर धातु बिहुकर संधान कर शरीरस्य प्रवर्तको वाच एंड वायु आयु बलम वायु वायु दाता शरीरिणाम वायु विश्वम इदम सर्वम प्रभु वायुश्च कीर्तित. So this is the end of respiratory physiology and anatomy. Hope you all are learned very well in this lecture. Thank you.